Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily television platform for small businesses. Over the past 7 years, we've understood what matters most to you, the entrepreneur. And in year 8, we're taking head on two of your most pressing concerns, that of funding and mentoring. I'm Sunanda Jayaseelan. On the show tonight, two conversations. First up is with ReNew Power. On the other side of a break is Anarock Property Consultants. Our first interview tonight is with Sumant Sinha, the chairman and MD of ReNew Power. Sumant doesn't need much of an introduction, is known to everyone from India Inc. to entrepreneurs. And I want to start this conversation, Sumant, by first of all thanking you for taking the time to join us on the show. And your personal journey from being an investment banker to starting ReNew Power, give us a brief sense of that.
Well, you know, I was an investment banker quite a long time ago. In fact, I stopped being an investment banker almost 18 years ago. And then, as you may know, I had a career in corporate India for almost about 8-9 years, where I worked in the Aditya Birla Group for some time, for quite a while actually, and then at Suzlon. So I've been out of investment banking for many years. And then, of course, I started ReNew back in 2011. So about 9 years that I've been doing this. I think the journey as an entrepreneur with ReNew Power has been extremely gratifying. And for me personally, it's been a real voyage of discovery and learning about myself and learning how business is truly done and how value is created, how to manage with shareholders. So a whole gamut of learning. So I would say that the best part of this journey has been just the sheer amount of learning that I have been able to go through and the lessons that I have been able to imbibe over the last 8-9 years. So I think that's really been the most satisfying part of my experience.
Renewable energy, of course, requires huge availability of land. So I do want to talk about, how you're going about acquiring that. And has that been a challenge? Anything you can talk to us about, Sumant?
Well, you're absolutely right when you say that renewable energy does require land. Every 1 megawatt of either wind or solar typically requires from 4 to 5 acres of land. As a company now, we have about 5,500 megawatts of commission capacity. So you can calculate that we've acquired almost something like 30,000 acres of land in that process.
Sure.
We typically look for land that is very far away from urban centers. And so in that sense, at least, we are able to get into areas where either there is no cultivation or there's very little cultivation, or the land is actually barren land as far as possible. And I think that going forward, as we need to set up so many tens of thousands of megawatts more of renewable energy capacity, I feel that just given the land availability in states like Rajasthan and Gujarat, especially in the desert areas, there is certainly a lot of land availability still for renewable energy projects in India. So I think it is something that will not become a constraining factor going forward.
Okay.
I think there are other things that might become constraining factors, and those are things like the transmission system, financing, the ability of buying that much renewable energy, managing the grid. I think those are going to be bigger constraining factors for the growth of renewable energy than simply the availability of land.
I want to talk about, the sector really, and I understand that 8 gigawatt solar bids worth nearly 40,000 crores were cancelled in FY19. Has that had an impact on the industry? Has that had an impact on businesses like yours? What can you tell us?
I don't think it's affected us significantly because there are just so many bids that are coming out. I think if you look at the numbers very simply, India has a tremendous need for development, and that development will require a tremendous amount of new energy. And that energy really can come from really only now in India two sources. One is coal, which as we all know is polluting, and there are limitations as to how much coal we can mine. And the second source is renewable energy, which is clean and green, and is also now a lot cheaper than any other source of energy. And so therefore it is inevitable that we will have more and more renewable energy capacity coming on stream as we go forward. And if you look at the government's attempts, they are very much geared in that direction. They've set a target of 175,000 megawatts of renewable energy to be commissioned by 2022 year end.
Sure.
And then the Prime Minister set an additional target of 450,000 megawatts of renewable energy capacity by the year 2030. And so that will mean continued significant rollout of renewable energy projects even after 2022.
I want to talk and get your views really as far as India's ambition of achieving nearly 1 lakh megawatts of solar capacity in the next 2 years is concerned. Your views on that?
Yeah, so as I said, I think the target is 175,000 megawatts by 2022 year end. We are at about 86,000 right now of commissioned capacity, perhaps at 90, maybe the latest numbers. There are, of course, other areas of capacity addition. For example, the Kusum scheme, which is a solar pump scheme. Public sector companies are getting into the act as well. And then, of course, there is a rooftop solar business as well. So there are quite a few different things that the government is planning. And so I would not be surprised if we come fairly close to achieving the target of 175,000 megawatts. And even if we don't achieve it by 2022, it'll perhaps get achieved maybe a year later at most. But I think the good news is that the government is putting a lot of effort behind new renewable energy capacities being set up. I have no doubt in my mind that renewables is going to see very significant growth over the next 10 to 12 years, just given the fundamental underpinnings of the sector, which is one, that India is going to require more energy as we grow, and we are a growing nation, and two, renewable energy is very cheap, and therefore will continue to be the primary source of new capacity being created in the space or in the sector in India.
How can entrepreneurs, in your opinion, capitalize on the opportunities which are really present in the sector?
There are tremendous opportunities available in the renewable energy space. And as I've talked earlier in the show, the reality is that we are just at the beginnings of this sector. And this sector is going to continue to grow for the next 10 to 20 years. There will be opportunities on the EPC side. There will be opportunities on the asset maintenance side. So there will be a lot of opportunities in different parts of the value chain. One area, for example, is the area of electric vehicles, which will also therefore require a huge number of millions of charging stations to be set up, software development that will have to go along with that. So that is just one of the many areas around the clean energy space that will get developed. Similarly, battery and storage technologies will be another big area where, again, if somebody wants to get into that space, there could be opportunities to find business niches that could be interesting.
Any one piece of advice that you want to leave our viewers with, Sumant, as we're ending tonight's conversation?
I think, just given the fact that India is such a diverse and growing country, there are a tremendous number of opportunities in almost every sector. And so therefore, my advice to entrepreneurs would be, don't think endlessly about becoming an entrepreneur. Just jump into it and just do it. And I'm sure that if you do things smartly and properly, you will probably end up being successful. But keep in mind a couple of things. Number one, follow the highest standards of corporate governance. I cannot overemphasize this issue. It is very important for us as new entrepreneurs, not just to have successful companies,
sure,
but also to have successful companies which have the cleanest corporate governance and that help in really changing India's business paradigm from the way business was done earlier to a whole new, I would say better way of doing business. So I think follow really good standards of corporate governance. The second thing I would also say is hire really good people and focus on building your organization. And I think the third thing is stay calm. Ultimately, life is about much more than the business that you have. It's about family, it's about yourself, it's about so many other things. Don't get too excited when good things happen. Don't get too depressed when bad things happen. Just know that as an entrepreneur, there will be a lot of volatility in your life. And if you do not have the calmness and the peace of mind to deal with those ups and downs, then you'll find it a lot harder. And so therefore, be very calm in whatever you do. So I think really those would be my piece of advice to new entrepreneurs.
All right, Sumant, thanks so much for your time here tonight.
Thank you so much as well.
Let's slip into a short break on that note. On the other side is Anarock Property Consultants. Coming up in just a moment, just stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight our second influencer conversation is with Anarock Property Consultants. Joining us live on the show is Shajai Jacob of Anarock Property Consultants. He's the CEO of the GCC Middle East for the business. Shajai, good having you on the show. I want to talk about some of the key USPs as far as the Dubai real estate market is concerned and what you can tell our viewers.
So I think one needs to measure the USPs on two factors, qualitative as well as quantitative, Sunanda. The qualitative factors being the stability of the government, the pro-economic policies, the pro-growth government that is in place, a very stable monarchy which actually promotes ease of business. And I think that's proven by the fact that Dubai ranks 16th amongst the ease of business rankings amongst the global economies of the world. Dubai is truly at that cusp between the East and the West. It is a major trade facilitation location. Banking and finance is, of course, what has driven it. Tourism is where it is currently at the focal point, given the fact that Expo 2020 is around the corner. From a quantitative perspective, we have the fact that Dubai today is the least priced location amongst the top global economies of the world. So let me just actually mention where 1,500 square feet of space in Dubai, real estate space in Dubai, costs about $1 million, whereas in New York and in London, you'd probably get about 331 square feet, followed by decreasing trends in either a Monaco or a Hong Kong. So your price realization per square feet is pretty low, and you get more for in money from an international expat location. The second part being on the qualitative front is the revenue yield that one gets on a project, wherein you can get rents to the tune of between 4 to 8% at any given point of time. And that, I think, to be obtained or accrued from a international expat location is extremely high.
What is the growth that Dubai has seen in terms of the average revenue which has been generated from real estate deals? And, just talk to us about how that's really contributed to GDP and, the kind of growth that you've seen there. So,
Sunanda, if you do a flashback back to 2011, the contribution of real estate to the UAE economy, and here I say UAE economy because Dubai constitutes a majority of the UAE economy, and that was at about 5%. Cut to 2018, we've seen the contribution of real estate to be at 7.2%. And in the last 5 years, we've actually seen 5 billion worth of transactions which have actually occurred in UAE real estate. Just in the last year, between the last year and the previous, we've actually seen a 20% uptick in the number of transactions that have happened in the UAE and the Dubai market. All of this has been, of course, primarily due to the fact that real estate in Dubai is now right priced.
Sure.
And with the, the Expo 2020 and the other various economic factors which Dubai hinges on looking positive in 2021-22, we do feel that it's the right time for an investment to be made in this part of the region.
Mixed-use properties and mixed-use property development, I understand, is a growing trend in Dubai. Why is that? Give us some insights on that, and also some insights in terms of why it's really having an edge over other kinds of property development.
That's a very good question, Sunanda, and especially for someone who's looking to invest in Dubai from a real estate perspective. So Dubai has this theme of live, work, and play. Why do I say live, work, and play? Because Dubai has always been fast-paced. Dubai has a great economic work culture, and Dubai has a great residential livability quotient. So for most investors and most residents, they tend to gravitate towards zones which fulfill this theme of work, live, and play. For example, if you see, 15 years ago, there was no Dubai downtown. There was no Dubai downtown district where you had a huge Dubai Mall, and you had the tallest building in the world, which is the Burj Khalifa, and you had the associated five-star hotels and the snazzy residential locations over there. But all of this today has contributed to build a Dubai downtown, which I think epitomizes the entire work, live, and play scene, as well as the mixed use demand. So we are actually seeing the real estate economy in Dubai migrate towards the work, live, and play model, which is the mixed-use tenancies.
Dubai is, of course, a very attractive real estate market, and I do want to talk about, which real estate market are you seeing gaining more traction after Expo 2020, whether it's the residential market or the commercial market, and what will really be the impact of the volume of property developments, post Expo 2020? What can you tell us?
Expo 2020 is expected to be the biggest game changer for UAE and in this part of the region. There's going to be a huge inflow of business operators, and at least 25 million people are expected to be in attendance at this global event. Consider this. Out of the 25 million, 70% of them are expected to be from outside UAE and this region. If even 2% of this number decides to stay back and conduct business, start newer ventures, get into alliances with existing UAE-based businesses, or incubate newer, growth-oriented opportunities, just imagine the kind of demand there is going to be for real estate. Rental is the first one that will come up,
sure,
both on commercial and, of course, on the residential aspect. The government is making a large investment in office spaces in the District 2020, as it is called, where the Expo 2020 is going to be held. There are tons of hotel apartments which are upcoming in that region. So, one, you're going to have commercial uptake of offices. You're going to have rental, which is immediately going to increase. In terms of demand, of course, and of course in terms of yield, wherein you will see Dubai, it's the larger Dubai itself, getting a far more demand from real estate. If in a nutshell, to answer your question, there is going to be demand for commercial, there is going to be demand for rental, and with this demand for rental, there'll of course be an uptake, in the investment grade residential real estate.
We talk, of course, about ROI. What is the ROI that companies or individuals who are looking to invest into the Dubai property market can possibly expect?
Most international real estate markets offer ROI in the range of 2 to 3%, which is considered handsome in those markets. But Dubai and UAE is certainly an example wherein one can expect rental yields in the range of 6 to 8%. And if you look at that 6 to 8%, there are two factors to it. One is the long-term rental yield, and the other is the short-term rental yield. And I think savvy investors will look at short-term rental yields by leasing it out to holiday home operators, or actually using Airbnb and certain other portals to lease their homes to visitors who visit Dubai throughout the year, or long-term rental yields of 4 to 6%, wherein they can actually give it for an 11-month contract to residents who wish to lease their apartments.
All right, one last question then. What advice would you have for young entrepreneurs or companies that are looking to establish their presence in Dubai? What would you have to tell them?
So for young entrepreneurs and organizations looking to enter the Middle East market, looking to establish a presence in Dubai, I would say you should consider the following factors. One is that Dubai is today the incubation zone for a lot of traditional and tech firms. It is actually the bedrock of a lot of startups and has access to global capital and a talent pool, which is not just within this region, but from across the world who actually flock to Dubai for job opportunities. The government has actually made it pro-investor. So there are long-term visas which are available from an investment perspective. SMEs who actually fulfill a certain bracket within the government's investment infrastructure will actually get paid off in 30 days vis-a-vis the earlier 45 to 90 day spectrum. The other factor that Dubai offers is a large consumption base, not just from within this city, but from the larger region. And of course, a pool of consumers. So therefore, considering all of these factors, Dubai puts forward a very strong case for businesses and startups to move to this part of the region in order to leverage the strong consumption base. There is always a consumer out there for products and services.
All right, thanks very much for your time then. Good having you on the show. That was Anarock Property Consultants for you. Completely out of time on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. If you have any feedback for us, our contact details coming up on your screens in just a moment. Do let us know what you thought of tonight's episode. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.